Hi.
Hi Dave, how are you doing?
Very good.
Well, we'll leave the handshake hanging there just for a moment.
Right. Well, of course, they're separate experiences. EverQuest Next is directed content, and it's high fantasy stuff with elves and dwarves and all that stuff that you expect. And then Landmark is everything that you can imagine. So when stuff goes across from Landmark into EverQuest Next, it has to, of course, fit the art direction of NORAD. So we'll have a process by which people can understand what that art direction is, and we'll be running all kinds of contests and promos beforehand, so that people are really, really sure what can go over. But when they make something that's high quality enough, or something that we have sort of indicated that we might be able to use, those sorts of things can then transfer over. Then we'll also have another program that allows people to actually be able to we know that players really want to build their own guild houses, or maybe even like guild villages, and then be able to have them move across to EverQuest Next. So we'll be creating programs for that also. As well as you can always transfer your character over. So your character that you're playing in Landmark can be transferred over into EverQuest Next with most of the abilities and stuff, or at least a selection of them, to move across, and you'll be able to play the adventurer class in EverQuest Next that you're playing right now in Landmark. Sure. Well, this is why putting out Landmark before we did EverQuest Next is going to work out really well, because all the different systems and stuff to make this crazy game that's EverQuest Next that we're developing, which the first set of those was the building tools, all of the tools that we use to build that MMO are going to come across the fence into Landmark. So the AI templating, the monster creation, the player versus player mechanisms, and being able to set up your own battlefields in Landmark is going to be, your imagination can kind of go nuts with that. The dungeon mastering stuff, setting up story arcs and tools for encounters and design, that sort of way. All of those things are coming across, and they're all intended to be intuitive and easy to understand, just like the building tools. And that's why we're releasing these things modularly as we go during the closed beta process, as we march towards open beta when the full game will be available to everyone. Well, we do, but we're not communicating it because we don't want to paint ourselves in a corner. One of the beauties of doing what we've done so far is that the players have been so heavily participatory. They've been just really, really heavily involved and giving us great ideas. Well, we can't react to those ideas unless we give ourselves some flexibility in the schedule, and we really, really like what we're getting so far by working with the players. And so we know what our date is, but we're not announcing it so that we have flexibility in schedule and we can move forward that way. Well, we're not going to give the bug back, but we are definitely going to bring the feature back so that people can start pushing these things together and being able to create these mega structures like that. Because, that's what everybody wants. Like from the word go, everybody wants to, we want them to help us build the starting city in EverQuest Next if they're interested, that sort of thing. But as far as the mega claim goes, there's lots of different approaches that we could do. I've seen suggestions from people about being able to link primary claims so that then add-ons can be added in huge clusters. But it's probably more likely that we'll go the other way, so that people can take add-ons and then attach them to other people's primary claims, so that there's only one primary claim in that buffer zone. So that got a little bit jargony there for anybody that's casually watching this, but you understand what I mean, right? So that you can basically be able to attach those in. But that's going to take some extra tech. We actually looked at being able to do that last week, to be honest. But when we investigated into it, we were like, all right, there's a little bit more work, a little bit more plumbing that needs to be done. So it's a feature that's coming. Well, one of the things we have to be really careful about in a world, Landmark is a game where you need to walk through other people's imaginations. You need to be able to see all this stuff. And the only way that that can happen is if occasionally you need to wander around. And if everything is so heavily linked with portal objects like what we did with EQ2 housing, the game itself starts to fall apart. That's one of the reasons why so far what we've done is we've given you the teleport shards and the ability to teleport to a friend. That's enough flexibility to let you quick visit somebody, check out what they've done, and then go back to your house without having too much transport. But if you really want to spend some time touring around and seeing what your friends are done, you kind of need to get on Shanksmere and walk around a little bit. Yeah, our lead designer, Darren McPherson, has done it on the list for a long time, but there's a question mark at the end of the sentence in the list. And the reason why it's a question mark is we know that it's going to be really weird to be walking through the world and have it suddenly be nighttime when you cross a claim border, or suddenly storming in it when you cross a claim border. It'll look a little bit like, if you're familiar with the old Charlie Brown comic strips, like Pigpen or somebody like that walking around with a cloud over their head, it'd just be bizarre. So it's one of those things we have to play with a little bit and experiment with to see how it feels. If it feels wrong, we won't do it. But it is a cool feature, so it's still on the list.
Running out in those circles.
Sure. We've been really public about this. In fact, in the beta forums, I actually have a post that's the business plan of Landmark. And it pretty much tells everybody what it is, but it's also TLDR and nobody reads it. So basically, in a nutshell, we're the good guys in monetization. SOE is really, we don't sell power, we don't sell, we don't require you to make purchases or anything like that. All the purchases in the marketplace are optional. And really the financial backbone of this game is going to be the fact that we're creating this game with the players, and Player Studio will be this amazing vehicle by which everybody else will start buying pieces. Because when we get to player versus player, and when we get to the dungeon mastering stuff and all that other stuff, people are going to want to design scenarios, but not necessarily going to want to build all those rooftops and stuff like that. So the people that do like to build those pieces can make those available in Player Studio. The other people will consume them, and everybody wins. You know, like we do the revenue split. Those people get real cash for their efforts and their creativity, as well as fame, and everybody else gets all the Lego pieces to be able to build with. Okay, I shouldn't say Lego; it's trademark, but you know what I mean. Building blocks, so that whole mechanism works together to make something that never feels like we've got our hand out. I mean, it's a free-to-play game, so we live and die on whether we entertain the players and whether or not they want to leave cash behind. But it's our job to entertain them and make them so that they want to do that. We also want to build a game that's going to last 20 years. We don't want to... There's a lot of free-to-play games out there that are trying to rip all the money out of your wallet the first 3 to 4 months because they don't believe they have something that's long and self-sustaining. We're working really hard to make sure that you're part of the family, that you're part of the experience, the community that's going to go on for a long, long time, and we can't do that if we're trying to bash you over the head and steal your wallet. So we're not doing that. Good news. On or before May 1st, we're going to launch Player Studio. And when we do launch Player Studio, it's already set up so that it'll work in Canada, the UK, France, and Germany. Those are the first 4. And then we'll continue to work with the maddeningly detailed international tax law situations in all the other countries. And then we'll slowly add more and more of those countries to the fold. Well, actually, as fast as we can, because we really want everybody to be able to participate.
Fabulous. Dave, once again, thank you for your time.
You bet.
For being on MMOBuff.
Thank you.
Cheers, folks.